Welcome to this Marvelicious Toys one-shot. They're not just toys, they're Marvelicious.
Well, we did actually talk to the Hasbro team about this pretty in depth. We were given a chance to talk again with Dwight, Ryan, and Dan, and we were asked to talk about new releases, and honestly, most of my questions that I had burning were about this packaging. And what about the retro cards? What about retro 3 3/4? How are you going to keep that going? And then, we had some other questions, like it is Legends 20th anniversary. And so here's that interview with those guys. So we are here again with Dwight, Ryan, and Dan. Guys, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell them what you do with Hasbro for those who somehow don't know.
I'm Dwight. I'm principal designer on Marvel Legends at Hasbro.
I'm Ryan Ting. I'm on the brand marketing team for Marvel Legends.
Yeah, and I'm Dan Yoon. I am the hype man for Ryan and Dwight. All things Marvel Legends.
So thank you for talking to us again, and loved the live stream recently, a whole lot of reveals. I wanted to ask about the plastic-free packaging. I'm sure you're getting a lot of questions about that. We knew it's been coming for a while. We'll talk about the package itself in a second, but with all the reveals you did of the Spider-Man stuff, I noticed there was no Build-A-Figure, and I wondered, are Build-A-Figure waves going away along with plastic packages, or Build-A-Figure waves still going to be coming?
So first off, Arnie, thank you for dressing up for this interview as always. I wanted to lead off with a compliment, so you maybe take it easy on us. But no, so to clarify, the items that we revealed, they were part of our fall Spider-Man 60th program, very similar to what we did for Infinity Saga and the X-Men kind of movie stuff and Marvel 80th. So those are not Build-A-Figure waved items, but so they're kind of on their own. That being said, we still will have Build-A-Figures. So, and there you're going to see Build-A-Figure waves, in the future, including eventually in plastic-free packaging. So, rest assured, Build-A-Figure is not going anywhere.
Nice. Well, yeah, let's talk a little bit about the packaging. I mean, you guys mentioned that we're going to see them roll out on a product by product basis over the, coming years or whatever. But that makes you start thinking about the items where the packaging is part of the collectible, the carded figures, the retro legends, the retro 3 3/4 inch legends. Can you guys talk about if you have an exemption for those type of collectibles, or is this going across the board?
So Marvel has the unenviable position of going first and doing all these, but in terms of the portfolio, but no. So like the goal set out in 2019 was for Hasbro to eliminate, all plastic from packaging. And so that's going to cover all lines, and I'll let the other brands speak to theirs, but for Marvel Legends, that's our standard 6-inch Legends and the retro line eventually. The goal for those is by 2023 is kind of the official start date. So you'll see it slowly rolling out this year. We've got more closed box items coming in 2022 and some traditional window boxes as we start that process. But it's more about, continuing to offer the characters that the fans want and to make those figures the best that we can in terms of all the great articulation and deco and things that Dwight and the team put into it, as well as accessories. And, it's a trade-off. Ultimately, it's something that I think everyone, whether you love it or not, I think you have to recognize that it's the right thing to do from a sustainability standpoint. And, we're collectors too. I've kind of joked that, I've known about this for a long time. A lot of our fans are kind of reacting like I did, but so I've had more time to sit with this and see all the great ways that we're trying to make that packaging still look great and amazing if you wanted to keep it after you opened it, right? But yeah, so it's here to stay. It's rolling out shortly, and we'll try to continue to lean into those retro and nostalgic beats, but just in a slightly different way coming forward.
Fair enough. And I guess kind of along those lines then, so if everything's going to kind of be purchased sight unseen, as it were now, a lot of collectors, have fantasies of standing in a filled toy aisle where you can look through multiple samples of the same character to find the best paint apps on there. And And admittedly, those type of things have gotten better over the years. I mean, you guys are really nailing it on paint apps and all that stuff, but it still comes up from time to time. Spider-Man missing a line here or there, or a wonky eye. Can you guys speak to maybe those concerns for collectors who like to stand there and pick the best sample off the shelf to take home with them?
Well, I think we've implemented different processes over the last couple of years that have helped a lot. Taking the photo reel for the faces that were just on the MCU characters and now moving that to classic characters as well. I think will help immensely going forward to help dial back the wonky eyes and things like that. Like you stated, we've got a lot of really, really positive reviews over the last couple of years with that, change in the MCU. So there's no reason why the fans shouldn't be just as excited to see that type of upgrade and consistency being applied to the figures itself. As far as web lines and things go, that stuff, unfortunately that stuff happens from time to time. Sometimes a web line's missed for whatever reason, but it's something that we will be keeping our eyes upon, and we will be, we rip all these things open when we get our different development stages and lay them out and compare them to our paint masters, multiple samples that we get in for every figure. So, we're going to be doing our due diligence constantly to make sure that whatever we finally bless at the end of the day is as close to a perfect match as what we intended all of the product to be at our paint master for everything going forward. So we're going to, do our best to minimize those types of concerns.
I think for a certain segment too of the consumers, sorry, just to chime in there, like for those of us who collect certain lines, like primarily through e-com measures, right? Like some things are only available online, like that's almost a non-factor, like this switch. So it's not going to be perfect for everyone. To Justin, to your point of, that fantasy of being in a toy aisle all alone with countless options and you get to spend as much time as you want. Like, yes, that's not going to be possible in that exact same way, but it might not be, as big a factor for all consumers. And it's something we just have to look at the entire, shopper experience globally.
So one last question about packaging, then we're done. So I don't want you guys to think we're harping on the packaging, but Ryan, you talk endlessly. You and Dwight kind of give each other some guff about, do you rip open the package? Do you keep it in package? And Ryan, you famously like to keep things carded as shown behind you there by and large. And a lot of collectors are like that. Mint on card collectors, or people like myself who buy extras when you do the retro carded figures to keep one carded, one open. Without the window and not able to see the figure, do you have a sense of what percentage of Legends collectors are in package? And do you think they'll collect less? Like Ryan, are you still going to be an in-package collector if you can't see the figure?
I mean, I think we're about to find out. This is new territory for all of us. I don't know. That's a good question. I think for me, collecting it and keeping it kind of pristine in box, I don't have infinite display space. So I have tons of window box figures that are in bins, in boxes in the closet that I never actually see on a daily basis. But my like weirdo neurotic collecting habits, I just know that I have kind of a figure that's in there that is going to be complete, that is going to, still be in good condition, the figure itself, and then also the packaging if I wanted to. So I don't know. I'm still kind of coming to terms with it. That being said, we are looking at interesting ways to make the item look nice. And if we have the ability on special Comic-Con exclusive type items, convention exclusive, retailer exclusives, like we're trying different options, knowing that the guardrails are that have been set before us for good reason, is no plastic. How can we then take that and offer varied kind of approaches to it?
I think
Ryan has a problem. He's going to buy more than one. So he's trying to be diplomatic, but he's going to buy multiples, I'm pretty sure.
I think it depends on what you want to accomplish out of keeping stuff in package too, right? It's like if you're a guy who buys one in package and has it kept that way for resale down the line in the future, it's going to hold its value just like any other thing would, right? It's like you rip something out of a box, it's not as valuable as it is if it was in the box. So those types of mental things are still going to be consistent across either way of looking at it. And I do know our creative services team is all, like Ryan said, is always working on what can we do differently going forward for special items. So we're definitely we have a whole new canvas to explore, and we're excited to see what we can do with that to make it special and awesome going forward, even more than the current plastic free packaging that we're very proud of already.
Very cool. Well, thank you guys for speaking to that. I know it's of concern and discussion among a lot of collectors. So on a totally different topic, congratulations on 20 years of Marvel Legends. And just for each of you, looking back over the decades of figures, whether you were a collector or working on the lines, can you discuss something you consider a high point? Dan, start with you. You've been kind of quiet over there.
Yeah. So I'm the newest within the team, right? So I don't have the same amount of decades of experience as Ryan and Dwight and others on the team have. So I have a lot of recency bias, unfortunately. A high part for me though was doing the HasLab Galactus, right, which broke our Sentinel record for HasLab. It was really cool to see fans like backing it the last like couple of hours too, and seeing those numbers jump. And it was just genuinely like in our business, we love it, right? We love being part of Marvel Legends, but it was genuinely one of the few moments where I could call Dwight or Ryan or text everybody in our text group chat to be like, man, we're killing it. Like, you know what I mean? We're like, the fans are supporting us. It's like directly seeing what the fans how much they wanted and seeing how much like support that they had for it, and just to see the community come together at the end to support it. I felt like personally it was a very big high watermark for us. That's me.
Awesome. Ryan, what about you?
So yeah, I'll say there have been a couple of times where we've been able to do new things, whether it's from a marketing standpoint or like a new expression. So just really quickly, things like vehicles in 6-inch were a big kind of win in my book to get off the ground, with Ghost Rider to start, and that eventually got us to Professor X, Cosmic Ghost Rider, a bunch of motorcycle characters, and more to come maybe. But that was fun. And then these annual programs. So the very first one was in 2018, Marvel Studios, the first 10 years. I remember we were sitting in a conference room, and then someone said, hey, do you know that next year is going to be the Marvel is celebrating the first 10 years? And then someone else said, no, but we'll do something about it. And I looked around, and we had no plans to. We had to figure out how to do that, right? Up until that point, it was just build a figure waves and a couple of store exclusives a year. And it's like, whoa, how do we do this, big marketable program? And now it's become just this beat that we are very familiar with every year, and this lets us kind of go back and do things like X-Men or tap into what Marvel is celebrating that year, like Spider-Man. And then the last thing I'll say is just something that I kind of came on in the very early stages of, was when we started doing the premium role play items, which isn't 6-inch characters, but it's something I think I see some in your case behind you, Arnie. But that's just been really fun too, because it's like a whole new kind of consumer segment. A very different way to interact with the product. But we've had a lot of iconic things, a lot of gauntlets, a lot of helmets. The Eye of Agamotto is super, super fun. And I think people are going to really like it when Doctor Strange comes back into the forefront of all of our minds. But yeah, that's just something, a cool segment that is smaller than figures, but it keeps our creative kind of juices flowing there on what we can do next and how we can bring those really big screen things to life there.
And for me, I want to just say Hugh Jackman, Hugh Jackman, Hugh Jackman, the three the Hugh Wolverines. But I think I can go a little bit bigger than that. I think for me, it would be 2012. It would be the Return of Legends with our Thor in the Mjolnir for Comic-Con, and then the all new base bodies of Bucky, Cap, Hyperion, and Silk. That those three characters set the foundation for everything that we've built since then. And since that point to where we're at today, Legends has exploded from being a awesome collectible figure line into a massive contender
All right, so we had a little bit of a technical glitch. Thanks, Next Link Internet. I dropped the call. But Justin, you were still there. We pretty much were ending that question. It got cut off a little bit, but Dwight had pretty much finished what he was saying. And I love their answer about what the best thing they've done in 20 years is. I have to agree with Ryan. I love those motorcycles.
Yeah, that was a great answer. And yeah, I mean, the cutoff was unfortunate, but we really didn't miss much after that. You know, we kind of wrapped up the call and stuff like that. So I know it ends kind of abruptly there, but just ends up being salutations after that. So don't feel like you missed too much stuff.
But Dan, Dwight, Ryan, everybody at Hasbro, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. It is always a pleasure. Hope to see them at Comic-Con.
Yep. See, it's almost like you were there. That's exactly what I said to them.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Marvelicious Toys. Marvelicious Toys is a Venganza Media production, copyright 2022. All rights reserved.